Hey, good evening, everyone, and happy Thursday night. A little thunderstruck leading us into tonight's episode of the Red Zone, where we are coming live at you to give you a little bit of understanding about people in the inner circle of our jobs and what we do each and every day. My name is Dean Packard. I am the principal of Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts. And alongside of me, I have Josh Tova from Texas. And he is here with me tonight. And we have a variety of individuals coming to you from different places within the entire school district. And we're going to have some fun. So listen, Josh, first and foremost, how are you, my friend? Great to see you, amigo.
I'm doing great. We're having some troubles here in North Dallas with black ice, so we had to cancel school. But you know what? Yeah, I know you New Englanders
what
don't
is that?
understand that.
Black ice in New England is everyday occurrence in the winter. My gosh.
Well, we don't know how to drive in Texas when it comes to a little bit of snow, and you should have seen all the crashes. But you know what? Irregardless of, Dean, we're doing great things for kids. We're getting through this up and down school year, but you know what? Ultimately, we all have the heart of educators. It doesn't matter what role that you serve, you're there for kids. And we have a great panel of guests today that they truly come from the spirit and the heart, and most importantly, to ensure that the future of America is motivated. So we have some great guests. They have a great section of whys, and you'll find out because they're beautiful educators, beautiful people, and you know what? Let's let them talk.
Well, before you do that, Josh, you're absolutely right. Last week I challenged you with finding people outside kind of the peripheral of what we do. And you know what, Josh, you came through big time tonight, with 5 individuals who really have an impact within their schools. And more importantly, we're not talking about leadership, but we're talking about integral parts of making a school district something special. And, we're very blessed tonight to have Angie, Ursula, Diana, Carlos, and Tony with us. So, Josh, you know what? I know you have connection with all of these individuals. So why don't you do the honors of just kind of leading into each one?
Well, let's start off right now with some of the people that have a great heart, and we're going to start off with a person that greets everybody at a campus. And it's crucial that you have somebody that's the face and the voice of a campus, and that's a secretary. The secretary is really the right hand that runs the school. Trust me, I've been in that chair. And so I present to you all first, and I'm gonna present all our guests, and then we'll go back to Ursula Correa. She is she's a secretary at Bel Air High School. It's a 5A school with I believe 1,800 kids now. Then we also have Mr. Carlos Villalobos. And let me tell you, he's a great success story. He is somebody that came up from the ranks. But you know why? He came up from the ranks because he knew what it is to have a goal and a destiny. Carlos is somebody that began as a custodian, and now he's a director of cafeteria personnel in Clint ISD. And then we have right next to him is Diana Ayala, hardworking. I'm telling you, I've never seen such a hardworking custodian, not custodian, but she said, you know what? I want my own school, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get that school. And Diana took over from being the night custodian to in charge of her own school at Del Valle High School. Very proud of her. She always put in the time. And Carlos spoke highly of a motivated person that's on Twitter, that works with kids every day. He said, you know what, let me bring along Tony. She's there. She has a heart to help out the kids. So we bring in somebody that's every day, that feeds our kids, that supports them, and, have those conversations. Because, kids need those conversations during lunchtime. And sometimes they go in with their head down, and the cafeteria manager, the cafeteria ladies are the ones that spruce them up with that extra portion of fries. And to close off, our deal tonight is a teacher of the year, top in the district, a dedicated department head. She is somebody that truly knows her why and will be a future principal. I've been telling her that for years, a future principal, teacher of the year for Socorro Independent School District. I present to you Miss Angie Soria. These are our panel guests tonight, and they're all corazon, 100% corazon. What do you think about that, Dean?
I absolutely love it. And again, a good organization doesn't work unless all pieces are together and that everybody's rowing in the same direction. So guys, welcome, ladies, gentlemen, welcome to the show. And you know what? We're really excited to hear about what you're all about and what makes you tick and what you love about what you do. So in no particular order, Josh, who would you like to go first and do a little bit of a introduction of themselves?
Let me tell you, somebody that I feel that is a great voice to start off this discussion, and Miss Ursula Correa, because you know what? She is somebody that really knows how to deliver and run a campus. You know what? She might not have the chair, but you know what? She knows how to pivot and control everything that has to do from timesheets to subs to everything, whatever it is. And most importantly, the number one thing that you need that sits in her chair is the best customer service I've ever seen. Ursula, talk to us.
Hi, good evening, everyone. As mentioned before, I am the campus secretary currently at Beller High School. I am Beller alumni as well. So basically, it seems like I've never left school. I was there since I was 4 years old. With that being said, Beller High School, I hold it in my heart. The community, the students, the parents that are there. I treat them just like I would have wanted my parents, my mom to be treated. So, with what Mr. Tovar just said, the customer service, that's what I have always in mind. Whether it's a student that is failing, whether it's a student at risk, whether it's a good student, um, I really don't see black and white. I see all of them in the same color. Um, and with that, it's like that's my home, so I treat everyone like my own kids. In fact, I do have two graduates, one student that will be graduating this year, so I have three already of my own that are graduating from that same campus. So even with that, the heart of the teachers that I it's the constant communication that I have with the students. I did start off in the library, which is was a lot more interaction with the students and in helping them out with research and with books and having to do when we barely started out with the internet, of course, many moons ago. But with that, it's just awesome being at the campus, and yes, going from a student to a paraprofessional to having to deal with different situations in the assistant principal's office, whether it was drug abuse from students, whether it's violence at the home, all any and all situations I took care of as if they were my own, and the kids more than anything. And that's in a sense I do miss that, because right now we're under construction and we are a little bit secluded. But the even though I do get to see more of the tardy students, I still try to ask them, why are you late, why are you this. I still try to have that same connection to see, is there something that I can help them with. But unfortunately, they either are shy, they shy away. But some of them are very vocal, and they'll tell me, miss, well, I got up late, or I'm working, so it was a late night and it was difficult. But with that, I love my job. I love being with students. I love talking to parents, even though sometimes it might not be the best conversations that we'd like to have. And of course, taking care of my administration as well.
Well, being the face of the school is very difficult. And I always say the first person that comes in our building meets with you. And so it's important that you set the tone for success. And I'm sure Josh would agree with me with that. So great stuff. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ursula. Josh, next.
Next, Diana. Diana, like I said, worked hard, came in from the ranks, did everything. Diana, talk to us a little bit about what you do, how you help out your community there at Del Valle and previously at your other campus.
Well, hi everybody.
Hi, Diana.
My name is Diana again, and right now at Del Valle High School, it's like a totally like different experience than what I used to have when I already started. I started at Hanks High School cleaning. To me, I was coming from management, restaurants. It was like totally different. But once you start like learning how beautiful it's to work for kids around you, for the teachers, they become your family. They become your family, and you always want more. You want more, and you start like thinking in your head, you know what, the next school, it's gonna be my school. This is gonna be mine because I love what I do, because I really care for the people that is around me. You learn that being in the schools is not like being in a restaurant or being in truck driving. It's This is different. You get family. You get the kids that you see every day, and sometimes you say hi to them, and sometimes you tell them, hey, you drop that paper, pick it up please. sometimes they look at you like, hey, miss, and sometimes they look at you like, hey, miss, you know. But at the end, I mean, they're like really good kids. And me being there at the high school, I'm the only female running a high school here in El Paso, and all the high schools. It was pretty hard to get there, but now that I'm there, I feel so proud, and I really love my school, my administrators, the teachers. It's like I'm telling you, it's a big family. It's a big family.
Diana, I hear a lot in your voice about the passion that you have for a first impression syndrome and to really, really showcase what you're all about and connecting with everybody. So I'm super excited to hear that. That's, we say that with all of our custodial engineers, we call them. We call them the people who make our school what they are. So congratulations with that. And we're really excited to have you with us tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Josh.
You got it. Carlos told us about Tony, and I want to know a little bit more about Tony's story and her connection to kids, her job, the passion that she has to help out our kids during that special time. And it is very special during lunchtime because we really see the kids after a full day of or half day what's going on at campus and all the noise that they face. Tony, talk to us.
Hi everyone, good evening. Sorry, I thought you had addressed Carlos first, but I'll go ahead and speak for him about myself. No, so I've been a cafeteria manager for 2.5 years, and in December I was offered an opportunity to move up to an assistant general manager. And about, I would say, a week later, I was offered an opportunity to interim as general manager of the child nutrition department. So I'm very fortunate that this opportunity has just come my way at this moment in time. I have been in food service since I was 18 years old. I joined the Marine Corps and I became a cook, and I just haven't been able to leave it since. And when I started having my own kids, I knew that I had two passions in my life, and that would be cooking and taking care of children. So, what better job than to be a cafeteria manager, right? I get to watch over the kids and I get to feed them and I get to pour my love and my heart into our meals and what we serve them every day. The one thing that is I feel that I think of and I remind our employees every day, when they're tired and they're especially through the pandemic, which we served in some unforgiving circumstances. And what I tell them to remember, I said, if we feed one child that we know doesn't get that meal at home, then we've done our job. Like, to me, that's worth everything that we've done. So, we might have, I know we throw away a lot of food and stuff, but guess what? There's one child at your campus that is grateful he was able to get 3 meals that day because of you. And for that child that goes home and gets to sleep on a full belly, then it's all worth it in the end. Um, the pandemic, I mean, I have pictures. I literally have all 4 seasons of us serving outside on the concrete in 110-degree weather, in 34-degree weather with snow, in wind, in rain. It's I can look back and laugh at it now. But during the time, there was days that we didn't know how we would get through the next day. But again, we just remembered that somewhere out there was a child we were feeding, and he was grateful for those plates. So, I'm super grateful again to have this opportunity and to have met Mr. Villalobos. I work alongside of him, and I think that we make a great team together, and our main focus is feeding those kids. We're part of the school program, the day program. Kids look forward to lunch and we look forward to seeing their faces every day. I'd like to just piggyback a little bit off of Miss Diana. It's a lot different than working in a restaurant. I have worked in restaurants and stuff before, but it's a lot different. We don't have the luxury of saying, oh, I'm sorry, your order's a little late, the kitchen's behind, it'll be out in 10 minutes. We don't have that luxury. Kids come to eat at 10:30, 10:45, 11, 11:15, 11:30, 11:45, and 12 o'clock. And they don't have 1 minute to waste. So our day is very routine. We come in, it's very routine. We have food ready on time. We're delivered on time. We don't have 1 second to waste because those kids are waiting for those meals. So it's very different, but I feel it's one of the most rewarding jobs out there.
Two things just resonated with me. Number one, the relational aspect of what you said, connecting with kids and loving kids, even from behind the counter serving food. Kudos to you, because that's vitally important, because they need to know that you care about them, not only in the classroom, but also in any part of the building. And number two, that you're feeding them and you are on time getting it done. You are absolutely correct. I look in my school, 20 minutes to eat. That's 20. 20, okay? That's not a lot of time to have everything prepared. 200 kids coming in, getting their food, sitting down, and by the way, talking to their friends at the same time, not an easy task. So great job. I love what you just said. That just makes me smile.
Yeah,
Josh?
and by the way, 200 kids is nothing. I can do that with one hand tied behind my
Oh my, I love that. Good for
And
you.
she can.
So, wow, I bet you can. And Carlos just endorsed it. I heard him. I love it. Good stuff. Josh.
Yeah, I have one of my biggest campuses is serving almost 900 kids just for lunch.
Oh my gosh. I was talking 200 kids in an hour, in 20 minutes. No, it's more like 600 for overall for all the lunches, but nevertheless, I love that enthusiasm. Good stuff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next we have a great role model for all of us. We have a young man who began in the trenches, like I said earlier, began as a custodian, and you know what he said? All the way through, we're pushing ahead, became an administrator, a principal of a school, always being there with kids. If you follow him on Twitter, I suggest you follow him and make sure that you see all the love and passion connecting with kids nonstop. And I present to you, Mr. Carlos Villalobos.
Welcome, Carlos.
All right, thank you. That's a good introduction. Thank you, Josh. And we call Tony Mama Tony because she, man, you give her a couple of recipes and she can whip up any food that you make sure everybody eats. So, yeah, thank you for having me this evening. Yeah, I've been in the education business almost 17 years, and like Mr. Tovar said, I did start as a custodian. And it's funny how I kind of got into education. I'll just tell a real quick background on it. And I got married kind of young. You know, when you fall in love, you find the right one. You do things without thinking. So I got married kind of young, and I was going to school and working two jobs. And my dad was the one that actually said, "Hey, you need to find a schedule. You need to go education." My dad always instilled in me education and talked to me about the importance of it. And my parents were big on education. And so I was trying to look. I was making good money, but I'm like, man, I don't have any time to go to school. So my dad said, go apply. Go try to get into the schools any way you can. And just to go back a little bit, when I was going through school, I was never the top student. You know, we talk about those students that are not very, you know, they get through it. I was never a top student. I was never an A honor student. I never got those nice ribbons or trophies. In fact, I had a lot of tutoring, and I was always just trying to squeak by. Man, what do I got to get through this class? And I never really had anybody believe in me until I got to about middle school, and started playing sports. Started having some teachers that really started believing in me. And like we talk about, it just takes one adult to change a student's life. And just, we have also those people in our lives that are encouragers, that kind of help us. They kind of, that ladder, instead of, you know, pushing us down, they kind of help us to get up to that next step. And as a student and a young student with no confidence, very quiet, just struggling, I started having coaches and teachers instill in me that you can do it, that you can work hard and you can get as far as you can. And if you stay up a little bit later, you study for that test, you can get an 82 or an 84, or just a B or even a low A. But, you know, hard work can go very far. And so I started putting goals and started working hard. I became a nightly custodian, started going to school. And then it was it was an eye-opener for me as a custodian. I can say this because I was in those shoes. You know, you think that the custodians are treated good and they are, you know, it's unfortunate, but sometimes, you know, you don't get that respect that you expect from people in the school. And I'm sure it goes with all positions, cafeteria workers, secretaries, you know, all positions. And so I kind of got a little fire there, you know, when I had teachers telling me, hey, you're a young kid. Aren't you going to go to school? Aren't you going to be something? I said, yes, I am. Thank you for reminding me. But I just started going to school. I started working hard, and And the big thing I also learned is every job has value. As a custodian, as a teacher, as a secretary, a cafeteria manager, principal. I mean, it takes a village to raise a student, and so every person has a value. And I always had a motto: doesn't matter what position you have, leave it better than you found it. And so started working hard, and just education started opening up. I started teaching in special education and coaching, and that was awesome. I love, if you ever coached sports, I loved inspiring young men and young women that they can be something, because sometimes you can only inspire them a little bit in the classrooms, but when you're in the practices and talking about life and that you can be something, and it doesn't have to be college. We talk a lot about college, but you can go to the Marines, you can go to the military, you can go in law enforcement, you can do a lot of trade schools, just something that they understand that, and then more importantly, you teach them how to be good human beings. I think we get away from that a little bit, but teaching them how to be good human beings, and I was able to inspire a lot of coaching kids. I coached in the Lower Valley, actually at Riverside Middle School, and it was awesome because we had a soccer team that ended up winning the championship. And I was happy that we had 2 years gone to get trophies. But what I was more happy about is almost all those kids went to college, and a lot of those kids got jobs and they made it successful out of themselves. That was huge for me. So as I started becoming an administrator and trying to help, the same thing. You always got to remember what a custodian feels, what a teacher feels, what a secretary feels, what a principal, a cafeteria manager. You have to know what they feel, and so you have to learn and build relationships with them, because you cannot do it alone. I don't know if, even if you're Superman, even if you're you can't do it alone. You need to have a team behind you, and you're only going to go as far as your team. And so I was a principal, and then I ended up getting an opportunity here to work in child nutrition, and so I've been working with child nutrition ever since. With Tony, I've been in this new position about 5 months, and it's been awesome because child nutrition, also with just like the custodial and you can really impact a student's life just by making sure that they have those really high quality meals, and making sure that, and we try to do high fives, we dress up, whatever it takes to get a kid to smile, a kid to inspire them to want to be better, and to remind them, just like me, I was a kid that was sitting there in the classroom or cafeteria that no one thought would be anything, and you can be anything you want as long as you work hard, and stay humble. I always talk about that, stay humble, work hard, but put a good team around you and be positive. And be that champion for kids. That's kind of been my story. And, I don't know where it's going to go, but I appreciate you all having me this evening. And I'm the same way now. When I was funny, I just came from a campus this afternoon, and it was awesome because there's a custodian there that's like, hey, I had a question about college. And I said, yeah, whatever you need. So she was actually changing, and she's like, I heard about you, that you went to school. And I said, you can do it too. You can go farther, whatever you want to do. You don't have to be a principal. You can be. So she was actually changing. She did her shift in the cafeteria, got there at 6:30 in the morning. She was changing. I was leaving the campus, and she said, I'm going to college. I'm going to go, I'm on my way. And I said, it brought a smile to me. I got a little I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I said, you keep going, keep that up, because that's something that we want. We want to build up. We want to give them opportunities. It doesn't matter what position you're in. But if you're willing to grow and you put in the work, good things can happen. And everyone needs a mentor. We talk about mentors and people to help us, because nobody's done it alone. If they tell you they've done it alone, they're not being truthful. But everyone's had someone by them, and we're just helping people grow as we go, and being a champion for kids and champion for adults.
Carlos, a couple things stuck with me right out of the gate. Whatever it takes. Number one, you mentioned that. That is 100% correct for all of us. Okay. And the other part is everyone needs a champion. Everyone does. And it doesn't matter who that person is in your building. It doesn't matter if it's a principal, assistant principal, teacher, custodian, a cafeteria worker. They need champions to be successful. And that's part of a learning community. So kudos to you. Kudos for you for keeping the grind going and continuously growing. Great stuff right there, Josh. I'm glad you brought him in. And Carlos, great job.
Thank you. We've covered a beautiful head campus secretary that's positive with everybody, with parents, never conflicts with teachers, awesome personality, Ms. Correa, our great cafeteria staff there, connecting with kids during that little gut time that they have, 20 minutes, whatever it might be. Hoorah, that Marine right there. We have Ms. Diana, hardcore, making sure that we all know that the second a parent walks in, our kids walk in, they need to see a clean school. It's so crucial that they have a great crew that makes sure that when they walk in, the kids feel comfortable. But then when they go into the classroom, I present to you a dedicated individual who's there for kids. I'm not saying nobody else, everyone else there for kids, but I have seen this individual develop as a person, as a leader. This year, she was selected as Teacher of the Year for her campus. She believes in the kids from the moment she wakes up to, I believe, the moment she leaves from tutoring at whatever time in the night. I present to you the Teacher of the Year for her campus, Ms. Angie Soria.
Hi, everybody. That's an introduction. I'm a little shy here. Well, I just wanted to say first and foremost, you guys have great stories. Like, it was so awesome listening to you guys. Um, the pandemic was really hard. My sister-in-law was actually a cafeteria manager at one of the elementary schools, and oh my gosh, I saw how much she worked during the pandemic. So, you guys are awesome. Definitely. Not only did the kids love you, but trust me, the parents did too. I was one of them. I was like, let's go get food at the school. And when I was first became a teacher, I've been a teacher I've been in education for 13 years. You lose count after like 4. But my mentor teacher, she told me, you need to make friends with the custodians, the cafeteria, and the principal secretary, because they're the ones that run the school. So it's funny that you guys are all here, because I literally live by that. Because I'm like, if you're good to them, they will be good to you, because they're the ones that take care of the campus. So I definitely believe, I mean, we're teachers, and yes, we may do the instruction, but the school would have fall if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you guys so much. So yeah, I've been a teacher for, again, I think it's my 13th year. I've actually spent that entire time here at Socorro High School, where I graduated from. And so I'm like you, Ursula. I never left. It's like there's something about these schools, right, that just keep you in. And trust me, I've gotten opportunities to leave, but the kids are so special here. So I stay and I love it. So I'm a U.S. history teacher. I teach a state tested subject. So that was fun during a pandemic. I was teaching to icons for an entire year and a half. I could see your guys' faces, but when I did this for like a year and a half, I was just looking at like letters of the kids' names, and I'm like, hello. But I think I got really good at talking to myself and making myself laugh. So I'm happy that I have some reactions here. But yeah, it was tough. The pandemic was really rough. I mean, I think like a lot of people left education because I mean, the expectations of our profession, it's everywhere. Like you guys say, like having to feed 200 students in 20 minutes, that's insane. And what you guys do, and with I mean, I see the custodians here every single day and early in the morning when it's cold outside. And the expectations is for us to do so much with so little, to inspire so many when we literally have like no fuel in the tank. And really, I feel like what has kept me going and being so positive is definitely the kids. Like I want them to feel inspired by me the same way like I was inspired by teachers that I had. But it's also like the community of people that are in the campus. Like when Tovar came to Socorro High School, I always say like we were broken, we were like a baby crying. We needed like, I always tell Tovar he's like our papi, like our dad. We were like, oh, like our papi's here, like you always want your dad to like give you like a reinforcement, but you also need the structure. And so like when you're in education, like you need a lot of structure, but you also need a lot of like positivity. You need to surround yourself with really good people. So I think that's why I stayed at Socorro, because there's great people that are here. And when you just feel like you can't go anymore, the person next to you is like, keep going, it's worth it. So that's good. So definitely your stories, I understand why he invited you guys here, because you remind me a lot about the people that are here. So let me see, what else can I tell you? I'm like, I have so much to tell you guys, but I'm thinking of time. Okay, so I've been a teacher for 13 years, but definitely the pandemic was the roughest. I am a department chair. There's 20 teachers in my department. And I remember when we were looking for a department chair, at that point I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then so Tovar calls me into his office and he's like, come here. Everybody has talked to Tovar, so we all know how he is. Come here. And I'm like, yes. And he was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. What am I doing, sir? He's like, you know what you're doing. I'm like, do I? And he's like, you need to take it. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you know. And I was like, okay, I know. And then somehow I walked away and I was like, yeah, I do know. And so I became a department chair and it's been super fun. I've been a department chair for what? I think like with the pandemic, it's like a time warp, right? You guys, it's like weird. And it's been 4 years, I think now. And Socorro High School went from, we were a D campus, and when Tovar left, we made it to a B campus, specifically with my content. We do great. We actually, I think the second year I was department chair, we were usually at the bottom of our district, and we weren't at the bottom anymore. And we just had December retakes, and we were actually second in the district out of all of the high schools. So I mean, you have to understand, like, we have students that's, we're like 2,600 students, and our students, like the students I teach, they cross the border, they take the Sun Metro, they come to campus. I teach like your regular students, and these students are amazing, and they're outperforming students from other campuses that have resources, and they come from a more stable households. But I think it's that culture that we've created of expectations, like how you were saying, Carlos, like you need to be great. Like you need to have those expectations for yourself, and we need to have those expectations for each other. And we don't allow the kids to make excuses for themselves. Like we let them know, like, you're gonna work hard, and there's no excuses. You're gonna do it. We're gonna work as hard with you. Like I tell my students all the time, I'm not gonna expect you to work harder than me. I'm always gonna work just as hard as you. Like, as the same amount I want you to work, I'm gonna do it with you too. And so yeah, we've been very successful within our department. But I think a lot of it, with when Tovar came in, it was like changing of that mentality, and the culture. So we've been very blessed that he came through our campus. We have new administration, but Tovar always sends us our messages and make sure that we never forget, like, why, like our why and why we're here. And he always says, like, no matter who's sitting in the chair, make sure that you keep this going, like you keep that momentum, and you keep that love for education going. So I'm here to say we've been doing a great job, Mr. Tovar. But yeah, I'm excited to be with you guys tonight. Thank you for sharing your night with me.
So Angie, first and foremost, Teacher of the Year is a label that is given to somebody who goes above and beyond and connects with kids, community, makes their school a better place. So, you're very humble in how you laid out what you just said, but the reality is you must be pretty darn good at what you do to be able to have that title. So please recognize the fact that, you're probably very much appreciated within your district in what you do every day. So thank you so much for doing that. So in the Red Zone, what we try to do is just try to bring out just that inner circle of understanding of who our people are that are on our show. So think about this for a second. I want everybody to go around the room really and do this. Talk about your why. What makes you come into work every day? What makes you appreciate what you have in your building? And give a quick shout out to somebody who maybe may have made you a little bit better at what you do, because you know what? Sometimes it's a thankless job, but you do this because you want to make people better around you, regardless of what your position is. So why don't we start off with Ursula? What is your why, and who do you want to give that quick shout out to that makes you just a little better each and every day?
Well, I have several people that I would like to give shout outs. I'm not alone, and I haven't had that many administrators to actually follow through. But of course, the one person that I guess has made that impression on me and has made me continue is my previous principal, Mr. Charlie Garcia. He was a motivator. And till this day, he sends me text messages, hey, just checking up on you. And I really appreciate that. He really made me understand that my why, even though I am just a secretary, as some people might just think of us.
Stop. You're not just a secretary. You're a vital member of your school. You're the first person that people see. You're the first voice that is heard. You are the conduit for the entire learning community. So back that up a minute. and then go back on?
He made me realize that I wasn't just a secretary. And a lot of people that used to say that eventually found out, a lot of the situations that would come up at school, how did they come about it? How did they learn of it? Oh, well, they went to Ursula. Ursula is the one that did this. Ursula made us understand. So he kept telling me, you have that in you. My first principal, Dr. Dora de la Rosa, I loved her too. I only had 1 year with her though, but the first thing she said when I became her secretary, she said, Mr. Slay, I really was difficult to believe in you because you didn't have that expertise, but you're very personable, and that really shined through. And and I told her, Dr. D, that's just me. I try to make people feel welcome, and more than anything, I lend an ear, which a lot of people don't do, and especially for our students. So that made me even more grounded as to what my purpose at that school was. I honestly wanted to become a bilingual educator. I wanted to go into the classroom with the little ones, but life happened. Of course, I had my children and didn't continue with my education, but somehow the reasoning is I am still in education some way or another, helping out my community one way or another, and still continue to do so. I mean, I haven't left school, so I love it. I love the running around. I love the running after the kids and get out of the elevator. you know but it's a never ending, that it's a grind that keeps me going as well, and that's my why.
Love it, Ursula. Thank you so much for sharing that. Diana, your why. What is your impact? What do you believe is so important about you that makes your learning community better?
She's been freezing.
She's been freezing. Diana, can you hear me? Sign language, if you can hear me. Hold that thought, Diana. We're coming back to you because we want to hear this. Tony, kick it over to you. Your why and your impact. Diana, we're coming back.
So I have kind of I mean, my why, and as corny as it may sound, is going to be my kids. I have 4 kids, and I also take care of my niece, and they are my absolute why. um I I have to show them, coming from, I think, from our demographic, from where we are here, in the lower valley, our our what's the word I'm looking for? Our culture doesn't teach us to go for it, to go for those higher level jobs, to go to school, to be better, to do this, to do that. My parents didn't teach me go to school, go to college. My parents taught me just how to survive, and that's what I did for a long time. And so, now I know that I want to teach my kids that, hard work pays off, and I want them to be successful at a younger age than I was. I want them to enjoy their life younger than when I started. And they're my impact. They're my absolute why. Coming from uh as cliche as it may sound, coming from a divorce, a horrible divorce, being married for so long and being dependent on somebody for so long, finding that independence, and letting, just showing my kids that, you can do it no matter what age. I mean, we can do it. And again, coming from the culture that we come from, nobody teaches you these things, so it's kind of just a learning curve on its own. And every step that I take, every time I take another step, and I think maybe I could go another step higher. Maybe I can do it, and most recently, I think, coming into contact with Mr. Villalobos, he saw me when I was a kitchen manager, and I feel like coming into my cafeteria, my admin and everybody just loved the atmosphere that I was able to provide for the employees, I mean, they can feel such a genuine, heart and soul coming out from that cafeteria, and they loved it. And so when they show their appreciation, when somebody notices the cafeteria, like, most of the time food service is on the back of someone's mind. Nobody really thinks about it at the front. And so we're there, and we always make it happen. And so having them notice you and say, "Oh, don't forget about the cafeteria," like, it really makes you feel something sort of special, you know um and this a couple years ago, for the first time, my employees enjoyed the National Superhero Day, or it was the National Lunch Lady Superhero Day. And so, they were like, "Nobody's ever done that for us." And I'm like, "Really? Why?" Like, you guys are superheroes. The things that they pull off sometimes, I truly think I call them magicians. I go to all my campuses now, and I look at them, and I'm like, "I don't know how you pulled it off. I'm convinced you're a magician." But again, I as cliche as it is, it's my kids, that they're my why and they're my impact.
Great stuff. Carlos.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that as well. I think my why for me is I want to try to be that support, that positive light for those students or those people, those adults that maybe think that there's not anything else for them, just like someone believed in me. And so my why for me is just trying to be that, we talk about it, just being that encourager and trying to help others around you, whether it's students, adults, and just kind of helping them believe that they can do it, they can become better, they can go as far as they want to go. And just to piggyback on what Tony talked about, I think your why has to be those things that are closest to you, which is, it has to be family. I have 2 daughters and my wife, happily married, already 17 years already. It's crazy. The same number of education years that I have. But I think if you have those things that have value to you, you're always going to be able to show that in everything you do. And so there's a lot of people that helped me on my journey. And I think everyone has those people. I mean, we could be here all night talking about them. But we have always had those people. And one of the persons that stands out to me is, her name is Angelica Nieto. She was a special ed director in YISD, and she was an awesome leader, former principal. And when I was a special ed job coach working at central office, we used to work with the special ed students, and we would go around and kind of sell things before they created a store there. So we had like little carts. So we would always go. First and foremost, she was one of our best customers. She would always purchase items and making sure that the special ed students could practice their money management and customer service, and always had a smile and was very just sweet. And I always had these conversations with her because we always had a lot of contact at central office. And one of the things that she told me one time is that, you're really good working with these kids, and you really are helping and making a difference, and I can see it. And just little conversations like that, and just kind of pushing me a little bit to kind of take that next step. And even when I went to go apply for my first teaching job, I want to go talk to her. I said, "Hey, I'm going to go talk to her. She's got a wealth of knowledge. I'm sure she has the blueprint for this interview, when you're learning how to try to get a job, and how, what is it they're going to ask you so you can prepare." And I want to go talk to her. And she just gave me, just told me to be who you are. And she even made a couple calls to principals and said, "Hey, this guy is really good. He's all about kids." Give him an opportunity. Because when you're young in any position, it's very hard to try to get that first job or that first opportunity. So you have to have someone help you. I mean, it's just the way that it is sometimes. And so she helped me to get an interview. And because of that, I was able to get a teaching job. And I'm always grateful for that. I've seen her too when I was a principal. Now she kind of goes and supervises teachers. And I saw her one time, and she was just so proud of me. And, she gave me a hug, and we talked, and I just thanked her, because you can't forget those people that have helped you along the way. And then you try, you build those relationships, and they last forever. And that's awesome that someone mentioned Charlie Garcia is a good friend of mine too. And I have a group of friends that I'm with, and we're all administrators. We all come from different stories, and we send messages to each other. You also need that positive encouragement from those people around you, because you do have rough days, whether you're a teacher, a secretary, a custodian, directors or principals or cafeteria managers, general managers. You got to have those people. So you do have those rough days where you need to kind of talk to them and say, "Hey, I had this day," and they pick you up. They're positive with you, give you a text message or a phone call, a quote, just something to remind you that you are. We talked about superhero. Everybody on this call, I'm sure, is a superhero in their own way as far as their positions go, and they're making a difference. And I thank you all for that too as well.
You got it. 2 words that stick with me right now: gratitude and balance. So thank you, Carlos. We appreciate that, and that's really important. Diana, you're up. Your why and your impact. Well, Diana's still stuck in a deep freeze in Texas. I can't believe I'm saying a deep freeze in Texas. I just didn't think that was synonymous with what we were doing tonight. Diana, we're coming back to you. Angie, we're going to go up to you right now.
So my why, I agree with a lot of things you guys say. Definitely my kids. I have 2 sons. They're little. And like I said earlier, I'm from Socorro, so I see myself in a lot of these students. I think it's so awesome that Diana's like the only female in charge of her campus. I think that's so awesome. But I wanted to bring up 2 things. One, like as a teacher point, like what's my why with my students. So I remember when Tovar had first come to Socorro, he was like, "We're going to send."
Who's this guy Tovar? Who's this guy Tovar? I keep hearing that name. It's killing me.
I know, right? So he's a good guy, I've heard.
All right, I've heard the same thing.
He was like, "We're gonna send cards to students, right?" And of course, I mean, we're at a high school. High schools are different than elementaries, like, right? Elementaries, like, woo, and high schools were like, mm. And so when he first like, "We're gonna send cards to students," everybody was like, "Oh, one more thing to do on top of everything else we have to do," and all of that. And so we start sending out the cards, and then we have the next month, we have our next faculty meeting, and then we're sending out cards, those cards, yep. And one day I go to class, it's in my morning class, I'm walking to class, with my coffee, and my student comes up to me running, like she's like so excited. She's like, "Oh my God, Miss, I just want to tell you thank you." And she just starts crying like, "Oh my God, Miss, I got your letter in the mail. I've never ever had a teacher write me a card and tell me that, how much they believed in me." And oh my God, it was like the sweetest moment. And at that moment, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm never going to complain about having to write a card or say that I have something else to do," because it was just so awesome to feel that. And I remember that was when she was a freshman, and she's still like, she would check in on me every year, right? And I would see them. But her senior year, she was like, "Miss, you're going to come to my graduation." It was like that little tiny thing that, that I did for that student. She just like knew that she had someone in her corner. And I was just so proud to that I was in her corner and that she knew that, because we're all in education and we all love our kids, right? And we all believe in them, and more than I think that we ever tell them. But for her to know that I really believe that I believed in her was so awesome. So that's my student part. But also as a department chair, like I have 20 teachers in my department. And, as a department chair, we're in charge of a lot of things. And, we're always having to check up on our teachers. And when I became department chair, like I really got to see, the inner workings of the classroom. Like when you're a teacher, you just know the 4 walls of your classroom. Like that's all you know, because you're busy, you're teaching all day. So when I became department chair, this guy Tovar, he's like, "You guys have to do 20 power walks a week." And power walks are like instructional rounds. Like you go into teachers' classrooms and you see what they're doing. And man, I was like seeing so much cool stuff. But when I would also do those, like the teachers would like stop and be like, "Oh, well, it's, I'm not doing this because of this, or I'm not." And then like they kind of felt like I guess like trying to justify like behavior. But I was like, "No, like it's okay. Like I'm not here like to get you in trouble. Like what do you need?" And so teachers would be like, "Oh, you know what? It's because I really needed to print this, but I couldn't print it because of this. Or I really needed this and I couldn't do it. And I really need." And so I saw like it was like these little tiny things that like were getting in the way of the teachers. And so, Tovar, really my department before the pandemic, I had gone up to him and I'm like, "Can you get all my teachers' laptops?" And he was like, "Are you going to use them?" I'm all, yes, I'll make sure we use them. I told my department, we're going to get laptops, but all of you better use it because I put my name behind this. And they're like, okay, we'll use it. And so our department started using laptops, and we started doing like virtual resources like through OneNote and Microsoft Teams. And this was before the pandemic, right? And so when we hit the pandemic, our teachers were ready, but it was like that innovation, right? And that support from our administrator that really put us ahead of the trends and the pandemic. But what I was noticing with teachers is that when teachers were unhappy, it was because one, like they felt overworked, or two, they felt that someone like they had been burned in the past, or they felt like weren't believed in. And so, as much as we see it with our students, right, like where our students are overworked and then that they feel frustrated, they don't feel supported, the teachers feel like that as well. And I always say, like, a happy teacher is a successful teacher. And so I viewed my role as department chair is like to take away those obstacles, because if I could take away those obstacles, then I know that teacher is going to be the best version of themselves. And when like my teachers would come up to, oh my gosh, thank you, Angie, for doing this, and I did this really cool lesson, or they would actually invite me to go do power walks. Like they would be like, oh, come to my class during this period because I really want you to see my students doing this. And we started to see that shift. It was really cool. So I have my why with my students, but also, like, I would say at a leadership level on my campus, like my why is my teachers too. Like when I see them being the best version of themselves, like that's so amazing. So I get equally happy when I see it from both ends.
So one of the things I say every morning to my students on morning announcements is be the best version of yourself that you possibly can be. So I love when you say that. Two words that really are synonymous with teachers that they really want. Sometimes they feel overworked, but they also want to feel valued. You want to make sure that they feel valued within the confines of what they do each and every day. So great stuff there, Angie. I do think that what happened to our we've got an ice storm in Texas, so that may have just been the part that just kind of made that happen. Who knows? Listen, you guys all have to know this. You are amazing at what you're doing. Your stories are just invigorating. They are what education needs, and more importantly, it's more about not who you are as people, but as what you want to impart on others that makes you so successful. And don't ever forget that. I think that's vitally important to know. And I've been in leadership for a long time. So again, I'm enthralled by your stories. And I wish I could have each and every one of you in my building, because I tell you what, it's something that we talk about every single day. Students first. Make sure that you lead by example and model everything that you expect others to do. And if you do those type of things, great things happen in buildings. Josh, I'm going to kick it back down to you.
Well, I would like to, we're getting close to that mark, and I would like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And it doesn't matter, because these are the same stories that I'm pretty sure we could hear in Hawaii, in Alaska, in Iowa, in Maine, in Florida, anywhere it is, because you know what? We all serve kids and we all face the same obstacles. And I've been saying this for a while, you know that, Dean, that it doesn't matter what part of the country you're in. It doesn't matter if it's pre-K, a center, or if it's a high school. We're all facing the same adversity with this disease. And it's very crucial that we all learn from each other and take this time to cherish these moments on social media, to learn from each other, and that there are more positives than negatives, because the only thing that comes to light are the negativity and the toxicity out there. You know what? We need more of this, because you know what? We're only stronger together, learning from the stories from each other. And then just in closing, I'd like to give our guests 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
It's got to be 30. We got to stay under an hour.
Exactly. 30 seconds to give us a closing thought. Are you ready? Hold on. Let's see. Well, we'll wait for Diana to see it comes on. Ursula, 30 seconds. Go.
I just want to wish everybody a great evening. Thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you for letting me share my story, and I'll be glad to come back on the show and to continue this conversation of my why, everybody's why, and why we're in education, and how we came about, and how we can continue to be stronger with the pandemic, without the pandemic, from now on. That's our future. Thank you.
Tony.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed talking to everybody. I love what Miss Soria said. You're right that, you've got to be friends. Sorry. you've got to be friends with the secretary, the cafeteria manager, and the custodian. And I definitely make sure that I myself make friends with those people as well. But just thank you so much for having us. And again, I think our job is the job that just keeps on giving and giving, because like Miss Soria said, we see ourselves in these kids, and in the next generation, they're going to see themselves in the next kid, and then that generation is going to see themselves in the next kid. So we want to make that impact so that it keeps giving and giving. Thank you, guys.
Carlos, 30 seconds.
30 seconds. All right. Well, I just want to thank everyone. It was awesome to hear everybody's stories. Keep inspiring, keep being that positive light for everyone, and know that I'm here. Anyone needs anything as well. We're in this together, and let's come out of this stronger. Like Josh Tovar talked about, let's focus on the positive, and let's keep building up these champions of our future leaders, right? Thank you all.
Diana, welcome back. You're at the end, so we're going to give you 45 seconds to give us some closing thoughts. Ándele. Hombre.
You're muted.
After having so much problems trying to connect, let me tell you real quick who was the first person to make a big impact on my life. When I was 19 years old and I started high school here, after being in Mexico, not speaking English, she gave me the chance, and you know who I'm talking about, Tovar. It was Miss Tovar at Jefferson High School. She showed me how to keep going, how to push through, how to get things ready, and the most important part, she used to tell me, no parking. Diana, no parking. So since then, I know there's things that at the last minute that you gotta get ready, but if you do it for the students, the teachers, it's always a pleasure. And sometimes you feel like, oh my goodness, this is too much. Where am I gonna get things from? Guess what? At the end, you get it done. So now you know who was the first person that gave me that little push and that little to change, my life. Thank you so much for having me.
Angie.
That's not fair. I'm gonna cry. I didn't even cry when they told me I was teacher of the year, and that one brought me to tears. But I want to say thank you guys so much. You guys are like such a great group of people. Honestly, like thank you. Like I love that we're all from, we serve different roles in education, but that just goes to show that in education, all of these pieces have to be able to work well and connect together for us to be successful for the students. So I'm so glad to meet you guys. And my why is like, I love what you said, Tony. Future generations will inspire future generations. So thank you. And whenever you want to cook for me, Mama Tony, I am totally down.
All the pieces have to come together. So well said, Angie. Appreciate that so much. You guys are all incredible. Josh, why don't you bring us home, brother? We have exactly the 30 seconds to finish up. We got to finish up under an hour, though.
Success builds on success. Iron sharpens iron. And that's what you have tonight. So if you're in Iowa, same thing. Come on board. Listen to all these stories. Any part of the country, we're all in the same job. Creating the best future of America, our students. That little kindergarten kid or that senior is about to walk across the stage in a couple of weeks, we're all in it for that. Because you know what? They will take our place, and it's our job that we prepare in the best way possible, with the best focus in life, so that they are the better version of ourselves. As for myself, our guests, Angie, Ursula, Tony, Diana, who just jumped off. Carlos just jumped off. Thank you for joining us tonight. Meet us on Sunday for our next. We have an awesome motivational speaker coming to us on Sunday at 9 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock our time over here in El Paso. So please make sure that you join us on Sunday for Unlock the Middle. And thank you very much, everybody. Let's make sure that we score a touchdown tomorrow on Friday.
Have a great week, everybody. You guys rock. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Take care.